Nagaland's Power and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kenye, when speaking exclusively to Hornbill TV over the power situation in Nagaland, said that the Nagaland's power demand is close to about 200 plus megawatt, but Nagaland produces only about 20 to 25 megawatt. The population of Nagaland is increasing, so is the demand and load, and unfortunately, we could not tap into our hydro resources in the past, and the revenue collection from the public is also poor, which causes great difficulty to the department. But Asian Development Bank has agreed to finance the Lower Tizi hydro of 42 megawatt and Zinki hydro of 24 megawatt, and which are top two on the list of priorities for the department. He said, very soon we will have a stable power supply, he assured.
Also the powers ministers of power. So Nagaland has this, we've been noticing that we buy a lot of energy from outside the state and we produce very less energy within the state. So is the power department planning of putting up projects so as to be self-reliant? And also, and the common problem right now that Dimapur actually is facing is the erratic power supply. So what could some of the reasons be, and what could some of the mitigating steps be so as to provide a decent power supplies?
Yeah, this has to be properly understood by the public. The power department, when I took over in March this year, after having interacted with my department, I said this is a stock exchange, Mumbai Stock Exchange. They only buy and sell, dalals. So we don't produce enough. We produce about less than 20, 25 megawatts at the most, the installed capacity. Then our peak requirement is nearly 200 megawatts. And we are able to put in about 25 megawatts there. So there's a short supply of about 140, 50 megawatts. So this is where we buy from the power grid. But power grid also has a limit. They don't give everything to one state, but they have to share among all the states in India. So the demand, the consumers have increased, and loads have increased, whereas we have not been able to produce more. Unfortunately, we did not tap our hydro resources in the past. So we continue to buy. When we buy and sell it to the people, they have to be prompt in the payment of the bills. Because with that revenue, whatever we get back as the rent from the people, the department again pays it to the power grid and supply. So when the revenue does not come properly, the government faces a lot of difficulties, especially the department. So this is one department which is working overtime. Our engineers up to, from the top to the bottom, the field staffs, they are putting in everything they have. Unlike the 10 to 3 p.m. office in other departments, this is a 24/7 thing. You've got to keep supplying. It cannot stop. So they've been doing that. The poor guys have been working it out. But our equipments are very, very old, 35, 40 years back. And every nook and corner is asking for new transformer, new lines. It's quite natural. After all, there's an increase of population. So we have moved to the center, and now they are giving us hopefully enough for the time being, which we will start supplying next year maybe, the equipment, like the poles, the wires, the transformers, and upgradation of certain stations in some parts, okay? But here too, I would like the people to understand that producing is not residual. Wind, solar, biomass is different. But hydro takes a lot of time. And unfortunately, we did not do it some decades back. This time we have moved, and the Asian Development Bank has already agreed to finance a few. The first is the Lower Tizi of 42 megawatts. Second is the Zinki, like 24 megawatts. These two projects are topping the list. With this itself, we'll get about 70 megawatts. that should be, that should somehow cover our requirements for the present. And we will keep trying everywhere. Solar, I'm targeting to make it a stopgap arrangement. Very soon we'll have stable power supply. And then we will save the revenue. Okay?